Leech is my 6th book, but it's my first book to talk about where I'm from, which is a council house estate just outside of London called Dagenham. Dagenham was only really famous for Dudley Moore, the new movie Made in Dagenham, probably the Dudley Moore and Peter Cook sketches, Ford, and that's about it. Normally when council estates are shown on film or TV, it's always negative, poverty-stricken crap. This book is about people who are famous who came from Dagenham, professional footballers. John Terry, for example, came from Barking. And I wanted to examine what happens when these working class people come out of the council estate and become famous, and how they become intoxicated by fame and what fame and celebrity does to them. The idea for Premier Leech came about when I was back in London promoting my last book called Match Fixer, which was about an Asian crime syndicate with its tentacles in the world game in Asia. And while I was there, the John Terry story broke. And what surprised me about the John Terry story, okay, it was another alleged footballer sleeping with another alleged woman or whatever, it was the reaction from the public, the anger. And I realised there was a real gap now between footballer and fan. When I was a kid, you know, watching players like Tony Cottee and Frank McAvenny and Gary Lineker, they was alright for a few bob, they wasn't poor. But many footballers just lived in a 3-bedroom semi-detached house out in Hornchurch or Upminster and then played for West Ham at the weekend. There was still something in common between footballer and fan. There's nothing in common between footballer and fan now. The fan doesn't understand the footballer with his Ferraris and his detached mansions in Essex and his bling and his diamonds and his hookers and all the rest of it. And the footballer, it may only be a perception, but the footballer doesn't seem to give a toss about the average fan. Doesn't seem to give a toss. And no one's ever written about this before. So I thought that was great subject matter for Premier Leech, and that's what Premier Leech is about. The gap between footballer and fan in today's game. Premier Leech is essentially about 3 characters who grew up on the same housing estate as me in Barking and Dagenham. No other housing estate in the world has produced as many great players as this one estate. You're talking about Bobby Moore, Jimmy Greaves, Alf Ramsey, Trevor Brooking, Martin Peters, Tony Adams and John Terry. I may have even said some of them twice. Great players from the same estate. They become professional footballers and one of them becomes an agent. They're involved with a manager who likes a backhander, has spent his years collecting the £5 notes at motorway services up and down the M1. He's being investigated by an undercover investigative team of journalists, TV journalists. The footballers have got celebrity wives who are famous in their own right. And someone sleeps with someone else's wife. That's all I'm going to say about that. Meanwhile, you've got a Saudi Arabian businessman who wants to buy their club with his spare change because he wants to sleep with lots of sexy celebrities from London. So you put all of that in the pot and you've basically got the plot of Premier Leech. So what's Premier Leech about? Well, you've got to buy the book, haven't you? Is Premier Leech relevant? Is Premier Leech relevant? I'll just say some names. For legal reasons, I'll just say some names. John Terry, Wayne Bridge, Ashley Cole, Cheryl Cole, Peter Crouch, Wayne Rooney. That's all I'm going to say. Yes, Premier Leech is very relevant.